This podcast contains our own personal views, not associated with any organisation. Coronial contains descriptions of death inquests that may be graphic and disturbing to some listeners. Discretion is advised. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Coronial. I'm Alice.
I'm Georgie.
I'm Emma.
So before I get into today's episode, I'd like to give a shout out to one of our listeners, Kimberley. She put together a map of the inquests in Western Australia, and today's case comes from this great resource that she put together and kindly shared with us.
What a champion!
Woohoo!
Yes.
Thank you.
There's some interesting stuff.
I've definitely taken a look, but there's so much content there
Yeah,
that I'm just like a little bit overwhelmed. So it is great.
I did take a few nights to scroll through them all and
It's
have a look at them all of them. Yeah. Cool. So today I'll be telling you about the inquest into the death of Sean Murphy, who was only 3.5 years old when he died in 2010.
Hate baby ones.
Yeah, you say this every time.
I know.
But I'm like, there are
they
certainly
do.
elements that we need to learn
Yeah.
Yeah.
in terms of
So that-
keeping children safe and protecting them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sean was an only child and lived with his mother and his mother's fiancé in Western Australia. On the 20th of September 2010, a 000 call was made by Sean's mother, and she said, "My 3-year-old climbed into the washing machine, and I think he's dead."
Oh, no.
She also mentioned that the family cat had died because
No.
it was in the washing machine with Sean.
No.
Sorry, Emma, you made it sound like the cat was worse than the child.
This is terrible for me to admit, but I cannot stand anything to do with animals.
So in this call, she mentioned that Sean himself had shut the door and locked himself inside the washing machine.
Ooh.
So that was the information that she was giving
But
in
I'm
that
sure he didn't
000
turn it
call.
I mean, I can't fit in the washing
Oh no,
machine.
it was never on.
Oh, okay, that's less. No, it's still pretty bad.
Yeah, but no, it was never on.
because they become airtight.
Yeah. Well, they have to, because they have to be watertight.
Watertight. Yeah, okay.
Yep. So she began CPR while waiting for the paramedics to arrive. And it only took them 7 minutes to get there.
That's pretty
Super
efficient.
quick response.
Where were they again?
In a
Location?
suburb in Perth, I think.
Perth. Okay, yeah. So central city,
Yeah.
Western Australia.
Yep.
Yeah.
When they got there, they found Sean lying on the lounge room floor wearing a white singlet. Sean was taken to Fremantle Hospital at 2:09 p.m, where they continued CPR, but he was unfortunately declared deceased at 2:34 p.m. So although the paramedics and hospital staff did all they could to resuscitate Sean, the coroner was satisfied that Sean was already deceased when the paramedics arrived at the house.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, although it seemed that he had died only a short time before they arrived.
Okay. I find that a relief because it's consistent with the story provided.
Yes.
So
Yep.
would have he
As the
potentially
person's-
been still alive when they removed him from the washing machine? Because it took 7 minutes for the ambulance to get there. Or
Maybe, but yeah, not.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Unclear to tell call it either way.
Yeah. Sean had small circular markings on his head, which appeared to have been caused by the washing machine. The treating doctor at the hospital noticed stippled dimple markings on Sean's right forehead, a footprint marking on his right shin area, and some bruising to his lower back. But that was sort of all they went into. The inquest didn't really go into any details about any autopsy that might have been performed on Sean, except to say that it was the coroner's view that a number of markings on his body were caused by the washing machine. So there wasn't any other external trauma or evidence of anything else happening to him except for being in the washing machine.
Yeah. Anything untoward that could have happened. Do they detail what kind of washing machine this is? Are you
Yes.
planning on
Yeah, we'll
okay,
go
that's
into that, yeah.
I have many questions, but
Yeah.
it's fine. We'll come to it.
Yeah. So at 2:22 p.m. that day, police were called to attend Sean's house because a young child had been found in a washing machine and the mother was refusing to attend hospital with the child. So she didn't go in the ambulance with him.
But she was accepting of him going?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Okay. Because I was like, is it because she was like, well, he's already deceased.
No,
Don't
no, no.
take him from me?
No, it was
Or
definitely...
She just wouldn't go with him
She just-
to the hospital.
Yeah, for whatever reason, didn't want to go with him to the hospital.
Interesting, but
Yeah, and that was something the paramedics especially was sort of like, this isn't
Weird.
the usual behaviour of, but, everyone responds differently
Yeah.
in that sort of...
Shock is a interesting...
also all
Yeah.
like previous hospital trauma Yeah, there's a number of different things, but I can understand why that was flagged as unusual, so I can understand either way, police would have been called at some point anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So police secured the property, detained Sean's mother, and later interviewed her.
Oh, detained her?
Well, as in, like, they didn't let her leave the house.
Okay.
They didn't arrest her or anything. They were just like, you need to stay here while we have a look around and talk to you. And that sort of thing. They found the house in a dirty and untidy condition, with clothing and toys throughout the house and pet feces on the floor.
Oh.
The deceased cat, named Snowy, was found on the bed in the main bedroom and was a fully grown cat.
Okay.
So in terms of sizes, not a kitten, fully grown cat.
Yeah.
Sean's mother's sister arrived while police were in attendance and told her not to speak to the police or answer any questions until she had spoken to a lawyer.
Wow, they're getting real super defensive. But it does kind of strike me as a potential family situation that if we're talking about an unclean house and all that kind of stuff I don't know if it mentions, but I'm making some wild assumptions here. Are they of a lower socioeconomic demographic?
I think so, based on some other things that come up,
Yeah, that implies that they may already have a more critical view of police and other authority organisations due to fear of your children being taken away from you.
Yeah, and like maybe, they're afraid they're going to get judged too harshly too quickly.
Yeah. Versus if this happened in the affluent white suburb.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I imagine it would go very differently.
Yeah. Sean's mother was overheard saying things to the effect of, "I was asleep from the operation. I will never buy one of those fucking machines again. He's mischievous. He's always doing these things and getting into trouble. He always wanted him dead, and now he got what he always wanted." And I think, they didn't go into this, I think they're talking about Sean and the cat.
Okay.
So Sean wanting the cat dead.
Okay.
Like, they didn't go into that, but that's sort of what I'm picking up on.
So it's not like his father always wanted him dead or something like that.
Yeah.
Or some other male figure.
Yeah.
Okay.
"It wasn't even my fault. I must have been asleep. He does this all the time. He's a little troublemaker." So that was just overheard by the police while they were in the house. And
I think that's a really hard one to call, though, because I imagine she's using a lot of that to justify her own emotions around the guilt that she would have been feeling.
Yep.
So I think it's really hard to take that out of context and be like her blaming him or suggesting that it was his fault.
Yeah, and there were a couple of other times where people overheard her saying something to the effect of, "It's all my fault, I've killed him." But she meant that in terms of, this happened while I was looking after him.
Yeah. And absolutely someone's going to have that guilt and emotion after they lose their child in what may be an accident. I don't know. I've got to wait till you get to the end. But you know what I mean? Like, I think that's really hard to judge from any number of comments that could have been made that day.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, it's hard to put any weight on anything someone says after experiencing that kind of shock.
Yeah.
In the immediate times after.
Yeah.
Because, like, a lot of the time you're just speaking out loud, processing and rationalizing.
Yeah, your brain's just...
Yeah, you're trying to work out what the hell happened.
Yeah.
So her saying that he was a little troublemaker, I mean, he could have been. It doesn't have anything to do with what actually happened.
Exactly.
Or may not. Who knows?
So the washing machine was an LG front-loader combination washer and dryer machine. So it had a door opening of 30 centimetres, and the drum had a diameter of 48 centimetres and a depth of about 30 centimetres.
So absolutely easy for a kid to get in there.
Yeah, but also not huge.
True.
The kid and the cat would have been in close quarters.
Yes. Yep. Its capacity was 58 litres, and there was an additional air cavity around the drum, which was about 2 centimetres wide, and which meant that there was approximately 14 additional litres of air available within the drum.
Right.
So as well as that 58 litres of capacity, we've got another 14 litres.
What's lung capacity of an average individual? Because I'm like, even if it's 14 litres...
We go into a little bit later of, not the specifics of that, but like how long they think he could have survived.
Cool. Because I'm like, but he's a child, so his lung capacity won't be as big.
Yeah.
And even then, you've got a percentage of 21% oxygen in the air, and then you're breathing out your carbon dioxide. So, like, I assume you're going to go into some of this detail.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Because I'm like, I can't do this math in my head.
No, and then you add the cat
Yes.
in there as well.
True. I hadn't even had the element of the cat.
Yeah.
The cat was using up his oxygen.
Yeah.
No.
As well as its own. They're using up each other's oxygen.
Yeah.
So inside the door was an inner glass bowl face. Yeah. So when you're looking at it from the outside, it's concave. So you've got that extra bit sort of adjusting. Yeah, I think it's pretty much exactly the same as mine.
But essentially, you're saying as well that you have to discount that from the available oxygen space because...
Oh, more just in terms of the space available inside, because that's going into the space.
Thinking of what my washing machine looks like as a front loader LG as well, that'd be really hard to close from the inside.
We will get to that.
There's
exactly.
nothing to grip onto, close it.
Inside the drum were 3 raised sections which were designed to tumble the clothes and to help with circulation of water. These were raised from the level of the rest of the drum by almost 4 centimetres. So we're encroaching into that available space in terms of being able to fit someone in there. And of note is that the washing machine seemed extremely small to have entirely held Sean and the cat. Okay. And for them to have died in the washing machine, they would have had to be fully inside it with the door closed.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you would have been able to breathe.
Sorry, I feel like we should put a disclaimer of, if you own a front loader and are listening to this episode, please just go stand in front of it while you're listening to this episode, because this is going to be so much more helpful for your visualization. Because I feel like we need to take a little excursion to your washing machine.
Do you want to go do that now?
If we had portable mics, we would just be recording down there.
In front of it. Yep. Okay, we'll get a bit more into the washing machine a little bit later.
Okay.
Because I got
so much
expert
suspense.
Witness. Okay, he was the chief research engineer for the Washing Machine Standard and Product Liability Team. Okay, the inquest did go into the details of the post-mortem examination of the cat. So Snowy was a white cat in thin condition with no gross or microscopic evidence of trauma. There were no broken bones and only minor fraying of some claws, which could have happened in day-to-day life as a cat.
Yeah.
There was no confirmed cause of death, but it was noted that cardiac arrhythmia or suffocation wouldn't leave any evidence that they could find.
Yeah. Why did they think it had a cardiac arrhythmia versus suffocation? But whatever.
Well, it was just what are the things that wouldn't show any signs?
Yeah, the cat just suddenly happened to die at the same time as the child.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
And there was some potential evidence that the cat died first, because Sean's mother said that the cat was stiffer when she took him out, as opposed to Sean.
That would make biological sense, wouldn't it? In terms of a cat would have less reserve than
a human.
But I would have thought within minutes.
So a pediatric respiratory specialist gave evidence at the inquest about how long Sean and Snowy would have had to have been in the washing machine before they died.
Yep.
So it would have taken 58 minutes for a boy around Sean's age to consume all of the available oxygen inside the drum of the washing machine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is such a long time.
Yeah, but if the child was struggling, so trying to get out, that would have been, they would consume that oxygen quicker. And there may have also been an element of carbon dioxide poisoning, since it was an enclosed environment and that expelled carbon dioxide wasn't going anywhere.
Oh, okay, so he would have been a little bit delirious, so that makes things slightly better.
Yeah, so the specialist said that it would take about 34 minutes for the carbon dioxide concentration to reach 17%, and at these levels it causes convulsion, coma, and death.
Okay.
It's also possible that there was an element of positional asphyxia because of the small space within the washing machine.
Oh, this is bringing me back to, I can't remember his name. The guy in the aged care episode.
So the specialist's opinion was that death occurred less than 2 hours before the ambulance arrived, and it was likely that Sean was first trapped no earlier than 11:25 a.m. and possibly as late as minutes before the 000 call at 1:47 p.m.
Okay.
So he may not have been in there for the full 34 minutes. They're theorising it would have taken him to die. The coroner deemed it likely that both Sean and the cat died from similar circumstances, with that being suffocation from being trapped in an airtight environment. So interestingly, there was a camera found in the bathroom of the house that was relevant to the inquest, because there were a few photos taken on the morning of Sean's death between 8:33 and 9:28 a.m. This is a period of time where Sean's mother said that she was asleep and her fiancé was away from the house at work.
Sorry, what year was this again?
This was 2010.
So are you talking still digital camera?
I think it was a digital
on our
camera.
Phones, kind of.
Yeah, it was a specific, separate camera.
Yeah.
The coroner didn't go into the content of the photos. except to say that a number of them were taken in the lounge room, where Sean's mother said she was sleeping, and that they looked to have been taken by a child.
Okay.
So it would have been like the focus or the positioning or whatever.
They were not artistic quality.
No.
Little kids just snapping.
Just playing
things.
around
so
with it. Yeah. Sean's bedroom door had a rope loosely attached to it, and the doorknob of the main bedroom nearby had a bandage attached to it. From the evidence at the inquest, the coroner believed that one or both of these ties had been used to tie Sean's bedroom door closed so he couldn't leave the room. And we'll go into that a little bit later.
They're implying like
more circumstance. It's like that.
Is this concerning for child abuse?
Yeah.
Yep.
But also, how much weight can you give to that? Yeah, we'll go into this a little bit later.
It may just be that you want to make sure the door is shut overnight so he can't get places. Like, if it's a property where the door doesn't shut properly or something, maybe you need to do that.
Yeah, and I think, actually, I might not have gone into it, but essentially what they said was that as part of, I guess, behaviour management, they'd put him in timeout. Timeout being in his bedroom, but then he would just open the door or...
Yeah,
you know, like,
as you said, you were going to come to it. So, like, totally there could be legitimate reasons for those things.
Inside the house were also a few photos of Sean inside a front-loader dryer. He was smiling and his head and his hand were protruding out of the dryer. The door of the dryer was missing, and the dryer itself had been removed from the house before the incident with the washing machine.
But he's absolutely known what being in a dryer is.
Yes, like he has experienced that before, but of something that didn't have a door on it.
But he doesn't know the difference.
Opened and closed it. Yeah, he was familiar with that sort of round space.
But was he encouraged to get in for the photo?
Well, Sean's mother stated that she was present when the photo was taken, but didn't see how he got in.
Okay. All right.
So unknown as to how he got in there.
But that's it feels very much like a learnt behaviour. So like it doesn't feel as shocking that he was inside a washing machine now, knowing that he's been inside and had potentially a positive interaction given they took a photo.
And the photo is now in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that it was like framed on the wall or anything. It was just something that they found while they were searching the house. Yeah.
Presumably they've done a pretty deep dive into this family.
And like they got phone records and stuff from her as well.
Yeah.
So possible evidence of animal cruelty was also investigated at the inquest as the police downloaded data from Sean's mother's phone. So a video from June 2010 showed Sean's mother allowing the pet dog in the house to attack and chase a cat around the house.
Ooh.
She excited the dog by waving the cat, which was covered by a towel, in front of the dog's face.
No!
Then put the cat on the ground and removed the towel. The dog then chased the cat. As it would, because,
that's not ideal.
Yeah. The people present in the house at the time, including some children, were laughing while this was all happening.
Hilarious!
Yeah. So Sean's mother stated that she was getting the cat acquainted with the dog, and the cat was vicious and attacking the dog.
Yeah, that's not...
Yeah, not sure I'm convinced by that.
Yeah. The cat was actually...
a little less defensive of the mother at this point, but anyway.
So the cat was actually owned by someone else and was apparently unharmed.
All right. Sure.
But,
I'm sure it was mentally traumatized.
Oh, yes. So because of this, the coroner raised the question that perhaps Snowy was put into the washing machine as an act of cruelty on Sean or his mother's behalf. So that was like a possibility that they were thinking about.
Yeah, but you don't accidentally be like, let me just go put the cat in. Oops, Sean fell in too.
Well, yes. But whether he put the cat in and then he's like decided to join, I don't know. Yeah.
Couldn't get the door to stay shut with the cat alone, so therefore took the cat with him.
Would have been much harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a tight space.
Yep.
All right.
So Sean's mother went to the Department for Child Protection in 2008, seeking help with caring for Sean, as she had mental health issues and sometimes found it difficult to cope with Sean's behaviour.
Okay.
There were a few home visits, but they didn't really go into that in depth in this inquest. I think because Sean's mother's interactions with the department stopped in July 2010.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like it was, I guess, a mutual thing that they decided
that she was coping. Voluntary referral, and they went actually...
Yeah, you're doing okay. Yeah. Sean's mother stated that she used time out to deal with Sean's behaviour, but he would then kick the door, scream, or slam the door. Right. So there were some issues with his behaviour there that she was having some trouble coping with. There were a few witnesses at the inquest who described some concerning disciplining of Sean. They described Sean being yelled at when he did things his mother didn't like, being called names, and being shot in his room, which then sort of equates to the timeout.
Yeah.
The coroner stated that Sean's mother attempted to be a caring mother at times, but also had difficulty coping with his behaviour.
Yeah.
So the inquest also went into the details of some phone calls between Sean's mother and her fiancé on the morning of Sean's death. So the fiancé called the landline phone at 1:16 and 1:30 p.m. And
for those of you playing along, landlines are phones that are still connected to the house. Sorry, go on.
It seems that those calls weren't answered because they were so short in duration.
Right, okay.
4 or 5 seconds.
Yep.
And Sean's mother later said that she was asleep at that time, which is why she didn't answer them.
Yep.
The fiancé then called Sean's mother's mobile phone at 1:32 p.m. I think we all know what a mobile phone is. So yeah, that phone call to the mobile phone also wasn't answered. At 1:35, she called him back, but that call wasn't answered. So they're playing a bit of phone tag at this point.
Okay.
Then at 1:36 p.m, the fiancé called back, and a call took place which was 326 seconds, which is about 5.5 minutes.
Thank you.
Yes, I had to do that. At 1:46 p.m, so 10 minutes later, Sean's mother called 000, and this call lasted 557 seconds, which is about 9 minutes.
Okay.
So Sean must have been in the washing machine at the time that the call between his mother and her fiancé took place. Because there's only
his
9
mother
minutes
and
between.
His father?
I don't think it was his father.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Just
I
her
had made that
fiancé.
leap earlier. My bad.
No.
Sorry.
So in his first interview with police, Sean's mother's fiancé lied about not living at the house. He stated that he was living with Sean's mother's best friend and her husband, and visited the house during weekdays, but only stayed overnight on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights.
Was that of concern if he was living there?
So, at the inquest, he said he had lied because the house was rented through Homes West, and if they told the truth, Sean's mother could lose the house and get in trouble for falsely claiming Centrelink payments.
Ah, okay, right.
So, it's to do with, housing and that sort of thing. So, that was the reason.
It wasn't like, oh no, I can't live in the vicinity of children. So.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
It was just to do with the government more than anything else.
Yeah, okay.
He also stated that he was willing to lie to protect Sean's mother.
Aww.
As he had done so. Like, he didn't want her to lose her house.
Yeah.
What else will he lie about?
You're like the devil on our shoulder right now, Emma.
I don't know, I think something weird's going on.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
He told the police that the call that happened between the two of them at 1:36 p.m. was about putting some money on a lay-by, and that they only spoke about that.
And look, that evidence of the phone tag for me suggests that is entirely like what's going on in terms of if it had been no other contacts throughout the day and then they just happened to have had a 5-minute phone call 10 minutes before she found him, that for me would raise more flags. And again, I think Emma and I are playing the opposite sides to try to just put the concerns out there, right? Like, I want to see the best in this mother. It's got to be considered. Yeah.
Absolutely. He also said that Sean's mother told him she missed the earlier calls because she was speaking to a neighbour, although Sean's mother said she lied to him about this because she didn't want him to know that she was asleep at that time.
Sure.
So a bit of untruth happening throughout.
It's really not helping them, though.
No. According to the fiancé's colleague, he was told that he was made redundant the same day at 1 p.m, and the coroner found it strange that their phone conversation didn't include anything about this.
Maybe he hasn't quite figured out the right words to be like, I am unemployed.
Yeah, maybe he's saving that conversation for when they're in person rather than over the phone.
Yeah.
Sean's mother had also lied to police about her fiancé living at the house, so they originally told the same story, and again told the inquest that it was because of the issues with the house and Centrelink. She said that in the week or two before Sean's death, she had been sleeping in the living room because she had a recent tonsillectomy, and the medications she had been taking made it harder to wake up. But she did also say that she hadn't taken oxycodone for about a week before his death.
Okay. So she, in theory, wasn't just unconscious, and that's why she didn't see.
Yep. When asked about the day Sean died, she stated that she had gone to bed between 10:30 and 11 p.m. the night before, and then woke up around lunchtime.
Oh, that's a long sleep.
Yeah, so this means that if she had woken up shortly before the phone call at 1:36 p.m, she would have slept for about 14 and a half hours.
And sorry, her child was where?
In the house.
I mean,
in a washing
machine, but like...
Wandering around the house? Taking photos with the camera in the bathroom?
Is this why she put the rope on the door to stop him from getting out, because she knew she was going to be sleeping?
Well, like, I guess that can't have happened that morning.
Yeah,
true.
Because he was wandering around.
But I'm feeling like I'm wondering whether this is a pattern of behaviour.
Yes, we don't know.
Yeah, I'm concerned for his wandering around without
any
assistance, supervision.
Yeah.
Has he had anything to eat or drink that day?
Yeah. So she said that when she woke up, she couldn't find Sean anywhere and thought he had gone back to bed. She spent around 40 to 45 minutes searching for him, and at one point walked past the washing machine and saw something was in there. She opened the washing machine and saw Sean and the cat inside. She pulled the cat out first because it was in the way, and then pulled Sean out, took him to the lounge room, and called 000.
But she can't have for 45 minutes been looking for him because she called the fiancé.
Yes. But she also said that when she called 000, that was the first time she had spoken to anyone that day.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, man.
So the coroner's opinion was that this account could not be true based on the timing of the phone calls. There was only... Oh, it says this was only a 5-minute window. Oh, yeah, because the call started at 1:36, but went
lasted
for 5 minutes.
And then...
So there's a 5-minute window between the call ending and the 000 call.
Yeah.
So if she had started looking for Sean after the phone call...
Wait, hang on. Did she make that phone call to him that time, or was it him calling her back?
It was him calling her back, yes.
Oh,
so he called her twice, and then a third time, she called him back, and then he called her back.
Okay, because I was like, so it wasn't her calling a panicked call being like, no. I can't find the child.
No, it was him calling her.
I feel like... And so he never said anything like she was stressed on that phone call.
No.
So if she'd been looking for him for 45 minutes...
Yeah, exactly.
How could she have not been like,
oh my God,
freaking the fuck out? Yeah.
And so when the police then talked to her about the 1:36 phone call saying, well, you didn't... 000 wasn't the first call that you had with someone.
Yeah.
She said that call must have been what woken her up, and she started searching for Sean after that call. So she then sort of went, logically...
So in her mind...
And it may have been
5 minutes that she was looking for Sean escalated to 45 minutes. It felt so much longer to her. And in the context, if that evidence had come up, later that day when they said, well, how long have you been looking for him? With all of that overwhelming emotion, maybe she has...
It felt like forever that she was looking for him.
A wildly overestimated assumption of how long she was.
I think it was the holy cow one, the electrocution one.
Oh, yeah, where they said the paramedics...
CPR, and he said he'd been given CPR for like an hour and it would only been like 10 minutes.
Yeah. So, okay. In that context, I can accept a little bit
of mismatch there.
Inaccuracy. Okay.
Yeah. So there were a number of factors the coroner went into about how it would be unlikely that Sean's mother was asleep in the lounge room for 14 hours. So she wasn't actually seen in any of the photos of the lounge room taken by Sean that morning.
Okay.
So even though the photos he was taking was of there, and she said she was asleep, I don't know, it was on a couch or on a mattress, but she wasn't in any of them.
Yep.
The house was small and contained Sean, an active dog, and 2 cats, who would have all been moving around.
So she must have been in the bedroom.
They would have had not necessarily in the bedroom, but she may have been awake.
Okay, yeah.
Sean had not been fed since 8 p.m. the previous night, so would have been hungry and likely trying to wake her up if she was asleep.
Yeah,
because he's hungry.
Yeah. Fair.
And the phone calls at 1:16 and 1:30 p.m. were likely to have woken her up. Even if she was asleep before then, the fact the landline was ringing...
And she claimed ultimately that final phone call was what woke her up in the first...
Yeah. So... Yeah. The coroner did not find Sean's mother to be a reliable or truthful witness, and stated that she was a person who was prepared to lie when she considers the truth unfavourable to her.
Oh.
But the evidence at the inquest found that she had an unfortunate childhood, didn't go into what that entailed, and so may have begun telling lies as a survival strategy.
Yeah.
And that has then obviously continued into adulthood.
And it has been evidence that she has some mental health issues that could have stemmed from earlier trauma that could also lead to some personality traits that could influence the way that she might be a witness in these kinds of inquests. And
especially being interviewed by the police as well.
Yeah.
So obviously one of the most important parts of this inquest was to try and work out how Sean and the cat came to be inside the washing machine. At the time of the incident, Sean's mother was adamant that inside the house was only herself, Sean, the 2 cats, and the dog.
Yeah.
But as in there was no other outside
people.
It's not like someone broke into the house and locked him in there.
Yeah.
So there were 3 possible explanations. Sean got into the washing machine and closed the door on himself and the cat. The dog closed the door of the washing machine while Sean and the cat were inside it.
I can see that happening, like, depending how big the dog is. If it gets excited.
Presumably, the coroner has considered that it's a dog of a size that can actually do that.
Could do that, yeah.
And the third possible explanation is that Sean's mother was responsible for at least closing the door and possibly also putting Sean and or the cat inside the washing machine first. So Sean...
Fingers crossed not that one.
Yes. Sean was 99 centimetres tall, and while it was possible for him and the cat to physically fit inside the washing machine, would he have actually been able to close the door, and would he have voluntarily entered the washing machine?
With the cat in there,
yes.
I feel like that would inhibit his ability to... It'd be very restricting 100%. To close the door with a cat in there in front of you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Holding the cat in as well, because the cat would be wanting to bail.
Did he have any... He had no evidence of scratches from the cat either.
Didn't seem to, no.
Yeah. He's got a tight hold on that cat.
Yeah.
But also, again, I think the argument of voluntarily getting in is absolutely in relation to he's done it before.
Yeah.
There's evidence that he has... He might have thought the washing machine was just a play toy, much like everything else. Or if there wasn't much else to play with in the house, that might have been a really enticing thing.
There were apparently a lot of toys in the house.
Yeah, true.
So he had lots to play with.
But like, you know what I mean?
Child,
like, you know. I think in a child's mind, anything is a toy.
Yep.
And if he's previously used a dryer as a toy he's played in, I think the argument there is that absolutely he could have gotten himself in.
Yeah.
Add the cat to it and it becomes a little bit more complex, but...
Yes. So the chief research engineer for the washing machine standard and product liability team at LG Electronics in Korea provided a statement.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He said that to close the door from inside the washing machine, it seems necessary to rely on a spring-back method, which would happen if the door was pushed open fully so that it could bounce back with enough force to close.
Oh, yeah.
So while you're in it, you push it really hard, it bounces off the end of the hinge, and then comes back and then slams.
Oh, that totally, absolutely could have happened. Sure.
Yeah, and like that is a possibility.
Yeah.
But the engineer didn't think it was a reasonable possibility.
Oh, really? Okay.
So the engineer from LG stated that it was unlikely that Sean climbed inside the washing machine and closed the door with himself and the cat inside without outside assistance. So the police initially thought that it wouldn't actually take that much pressure to close the door from open using the springback method, but they did experiments on it.
So fun.
And that showed that even if the area of the door furthest from the hinge was hit from outside the washing machine, some force was required to close the door.
Okay. So
even if you're slamming it from the outside when it's fully open and as much leverage as you can get it, it is actually still quite difficult to do that. The glass bowl of the washing machine was hard to hold onto because of its shape, and it didn't seem possible for Sean to hold onto the glass to pull the door closed, especially while he was holding a cat.
Yeah.
So, like, it might be possible to hold onto that glass and pull it closed, but, like,
not while
sort of your fingers would slip off it because you're not really grabbing onto anything.
And this is not going to be helpful from a podcast perspective because, Alice, you're doing a lot of hand movements.
Yeah, true.
But, like, what I'm thinking, not necessarily, like, grabbing onto the convex bowl, but, like, from a one-handed single maneuver, which, as we said, a 3-year-old's not going to be able to do, but mine kind of has, like, more of a conical shape rather than, like, a convex shape.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you were to apply pressure from either side, I think that would give you a better grip to then pull towards you, which, again, I've given demonstration but is unhelpful for anyone listening. And so for me, that's the way I would see that mine could possibly be pulled in from the inside. But that requires 2 hands. And, again, would be easier, I think, if you have child-sized hands versus adult hands. But, again, the cat
massive complicating factor, yeah.
But the other thing is, like, not only does it have the glass bowl, but doesn't it normally have, like, a seal as well? Could you not be, like, gripping onto the seal and pulling and yanking from that?
They didn't really go into that.
Anyway, okay.
Sean also would have needed to open the door of the washing machine first because his mother gave evidence that the door was normally closed. To open the door, you have to press a door lever behind the door handle, and Sean wasn't known to have ever opened the washing machine before.
Look, the mother is an unreliable witness. I'm not sure I can trust that she shut the door of the washing machine every time.
It's entirely possible that you do every time except that one time.
Yeah. True.
You know, you do every day except for that one day.
Yeah.
Sean's mother would physically have been able to close the washing machine door with Sean and the cat inside. There was no evidence, however, that Sean's mother wanted to cause his death, but there was the possibility that she closed Sean and the cat inside the washing machine for another purpose, like to keep him quiet or to discipline him.
Yeah.
So that was more... If she did...
Yeah,
she was involved, it wouldn't have been a...
Hopefully
I want
not.
to kill him. It's a...
She might have
not for a full half hour, though.
through
No.
the fact that it was an airtight space.
Possibly not. Yeah.
Fair. True.
Yeah.
I'm still shocked that Sean didn't have any scratch marks.
Yeah, they didn't... But like I said, they didn't really go into his...
But I would assume if he's in a
maybe
tight
he didn't
quarter-
have an autopsy? And they noticed the markings that they thought were caused by the washing machine, but no scratches.
So okay, but they didn't specifically mention scratches because for whatever reason makes me think the cat was already
dead or unconscious,
immobilized.
Yeah,
I kind of think that or the cat was Sean was put or went into the washing machine. It sounds like the cat was in front of him.
yeah. She said that she pulled the cat out first.
Yeah,
and
the
then
cat
him.
out first because if the cat is and if it's such tight quarters, the cat might have not been able to move.
Do you also think, is there any chance, although he in theory didn't know how to open the door, did he put the cat in? Did the cat then die?
I was just thinking that.
And then did he get in after? And so therefore he's holding the cat and testing it once the cat is already deceased.
Potentially.
Yeah. So the coroner concluded that they could not be satisfied to the required degree that Sean's mother was responsible for at least closing the washing machine door with Sean inside, so did not find that she either caused or contributed to his death. They stated that it seemed like none of the three possible explanations could be definitely excluded, so an open finding was given as to how the death occurred.
That seems fair.
So no answers, unfortunately. While the coroner discussed the possible safety features of washing machines with LG, they stated that all larger models can be opened from the inside, but that adding this feature to the smaller models would require a complete redesign of all of the smaller capacity washing machines.
And I guess their assumption is that smaller capacity means less likely that someone's going to be able to be shut inside in the first place.
Or get inside it at all.
Yeah.
So there were 3 recorded accidents in Korea in 2008 and 2010, where children had died after becoming trapped in LG front-loader washing machines. But they were all larger washing machines and the children were older.
Can't decide if it's better or worse.
Well, I guess it's more that they probably have more ability to close it on themselves because they're older and...
They also would have thought they had more ability to not put themselves in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but kids do weird things.
I know,
You remember shutting yourself in cupboards as a kid and, playing hide and seek.
Yeah. After the 2 deaths in 2008, the Korean government introduced a new standard to washing machines with a capacity of 60 litres or more so that they could be opened from the inside. But that standard didn't apply to washing machines like the one in Sean's house because it was a smaller capacity.
Yeah.
And so the coroner's recommendation was that the Electrical Safety Committee consider the possibility of changing the relevant Australian standards so that all front-loader washing machines have a 2-way latch mechanism regardless of how big they are.
Yep.
So provide that for the smaller models.
LG Korea would have loved that.
Well, it then also said if that's not possible or practical, the coroner recommended that the Electrical Safety Committee consider changing the Australian standards so that for machines that don't have a 2-way latch fitted, there is a safety catch on the door, which would be difficult for a young child to open.
I think that's a better option because the first one I'm sort of thinking, okay, it's a small capacity washing machine, right? So the only people, theoretically, who can fit into the small capacity are going to be small children
who may not be able to figure out
to use a latch system from the inside.
Yeah, or don't know that it's there.
Yeah.
Whereas it stopped them from getting in the first place.
I think a better solution.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think once you're in as well, how efficiently are you working to get out?
Yes. Yeah.
It's not when I am stressed, it's not my best thinking situation.
No. So the Australian standard relevant to the type of washing machine in this case was reviewed and updated in 2020. But because the standards are not freely available and have to be bought, and I didn't want to spend $150, I wasn't able to read the updated standard.
Yeah.
I did find a brief summary on the changes online, and it didn't mention safety measures in relation to being able to open the door from the inside or making it harder to open it from the outside. So unknown as to whether this recommendation went through to the Australian standards.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just found that one really interesting, especially because you've got the element of the cat as well, just because that, logistically...
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's just...
I certainly, in my mind, the idea of that positional asphyxia having an effect for me makes me think that it potentially was shorter lived than
the 34 minutes.
Like, to get in there, to get in that position, to not be able to get back out.
And I do think it's interesting that the cat was in further state of rigor mortis, even though I don't know the cat versus human rigor mortis life stage.
That was also the mother's perceived experience as
but
well.
All of it is, isn't it? So the mother said that the cat was in front of the son.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no actual,
there's
no physical evidence that the cat was inside the washing machine.
Yeah.
Because Sean had markings on him that they're like, that's from the washing machine. He was definitely in there.
Yeah.
But the cat didn't have any external fur would stop it from getting indents in its
skin. Still get bruising though?
You could do, but the machine wasn't on.
It's very sad.
Yeah, confounding one as to what actually happened. But I guess the end result, or the thing we need to think about here, is washing machine safety. Yeah, it's not really something that I would think about.
And I think, you've nailed it, of like, absolutely just prevent them from going to get in the first place.
Yeah, that is the best thing.
Going to be the best choice. Because, so like thinking that through, the door seems much simpler than in my mind. I was like, well, why don't everyone just raise it off the ground so the child can't get in?
Yeah, and like some people do that. If they've got a small laundry, they put it up.
Yeah, but then I'm like, well, logistically, that's actually not possible for a lot of people. Yes. So my solution is absolutely not the best solution. Putting something to stop people from being able to open the door in the first place.
Yeah.
Much smarter.
Yeah.
So and just probably like put child safety difficult. Locks on your washing machine doors.
Yeah, that actually legitimately would be like an option.
Yeah.
For those that don't have newer models and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In rooms with door handles that are too high for the child to access. And I think anyone who's been exposed to children ever in their life will know that they do things that you do not expect.
Yeah, and you didn't think they could do.
Yeah, and so like those comments around him, like, he's always doing this, he's always getting up to mischief or whatever made by the mother, I'm like, that's yes, every 3.5-year-old does something and you're like,
why are you doing that?
Yeah. Why are you doing that? How did you achieve doing that? And how do I stop you from doing that again? Because if I tell you no, that's not going to stop you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's entirely plausible that he did do it on his own from that context of...
Yeah. I think so, but I'm really finding it hard to, in a logistical standpoint, if what the mother is saying is true.
How did he get stuck in there? Yeah.
Yeah, and with the cat being in there at the same time, him doing that on his own. I know 3.5-year-olds can get up to a lot of mischief and can do some weird things, and you're like, how did you do that? But I think that might be a feat even above a 3.5-year-old's capability. I don't know, it just seems...
We're missing something.
It doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that the coroner could only give an open finding
as well.
Like they couldn't figure out how it happened.
Yeah, right.
That is a sad one. Thanks everyone for listening.